Hey people, Inquisitor here, 3v3, Fend Unlock, blue team. Couple of Space Marine players. This is Ultramarine with a Force Commander, very strong offense, fighting in melee combat, can also tank, disrupt and support using the Ultramarines DLC. Alongside oLev, well there's a name I feel like I haven't seen for a while, with an Apothecary support hero fighting in melee combat by default, begins with a heal and a passive health regeneration aura. Rounding off this team is Leonus with a Plague Champion, starts off with a damage of a time bolt gun, can get melee weapons, some strong utility and support, can also repair. On the red team, Dragonis is a Lord Commissar, strong offense and support, fighting in melee, begins with a Refractor Shield, the Mordian Iron Guard here. Alongside is Piluco as an Inquisitor, offensive hero with powerful control abilities, begins in melee that can get specialized ranged weapons. And rounding off the teams, Katla with a Ravener Alpha, a tunneling hero with great mobility, powerful offense and a bit of support, begins with a ranged weapon. Shooting it at some Chaos Space Marine fellas at the moment. Plague Champion in some light cover, gets back to some heavy cover, and now some Nurgle Worship for health regen. They're double Nurgle worshipping here, it does not stack. So maybe they could look for an approach with one of those heretics. Here comes an Apothecary to maybe throw a heal on the Plague Champion, perhaps. They're being chased though, might want to save it for their own Marines. Hormagaunts getting in, Plague Champion runs away. Hormagaunts with their adrenal glands. Apothecary now wading into some melee. The attacks though caught out of cover. Hammer of the Witches from the Inquisitor, and they run. Blue team trying to force off the Tyranids quickly so they can turn and face down the guard coming in. Inquisitor closer to distance, gets a special attack immediately. Scouts run off, they only dropped a single model. And the CSM, I think, get away clean. Yeah, they should be fine. There's a stomp from the Sentinel, making the Apothecary flee. Heretics doing some forward capping, needing to run. I think they did well there, the blue team. Red team take the map, of course, but blue team, I think, barely lost any models. Even the heretics and stuff. They lost a scout and a heretic or two or three, but I don't think much else. Noise Marines up now for Leonus. Devastators for both the Space Marine players, and Catachan Devils on the field for Dragonis. Sentinel leading the line there, soaking up some damage. Needs to be careful though with that heavy bolter. Sentinels have heavy armor, so they can be taken down with small arms. Massive advantage, of course, is that they don't bleed models. Keep them repaired and they'll keep on trucking and operate at maximum effectiveness. Need to be careful about getting close to the heavy bolter, which does more damage. The closer you get, Kraken bolts popped on those tactical marines. 20% more damage to heavy armor, such as that Sentinel scouts have dropped a model somewhere. Maybe they didn't even bother reinforcing, actually. They're getting a sergeant right now. 457 to 500. I hear Noise Marines doing their thing. That Sonic Blaster. Good area of effect damage and shuts down ranged attacks. The Hormagaunts get in, they can use their Cacophony as well. Grenade Launcher Heretics and Aspiring Champion Heretics. They're well equipped to deal with this, I think, Leonis. No Eternal War on the CSM yet. All the power's been spent elsewhere, and I think they should get some Breath of Nurgle heals going with the Mucus Discharge. Sentinel gets some decapping done. It can decap points, but can't cap them, and the Mordian Iron Guard are bashing some gens with Flamer. Or Flamers, I guess. They get 3 of them in the squad. Those guys are off to cap. Where's the Commissar? Is he off the field? Oh, he's right here. And has a power sword. Power weapon that gives him the awesome lead by example for some disruption and buffs, and a speed bonus as well while it's active. Here's the Catachans. It's spotters into Catachans for Piluco, and they're bashing this too. Meanwhile, blue team flowing through the mid, double Marines on the power here. A decap thanks to those tactical Marines which have a faster capping trait. That was a spotter shell called in. Pretty decent disruption, and those attacks are quite low now. I think they should be healed, surely. Maybe it's on cooldown. Customized Stormbolter in the hands of the Apothecary now. Devastator well placed. Smoke shell thrown out by the Catachans, giving some damage resistance. Is also suppression immunity, which is pretty handy. Devastators drop a model, but there's more back there. Double devs for oLev. Apothecary taking some shots out of cover. Shotgun scouts in play for Ultramarine. They also have their sergeant going forward. They're looking for a grenade. I think they're going to be punished for it. They're able to get out without losing their sergeant. Well, he's a die last squad leader, so I guess that makes sense. Grenade launcher with some good disruption. Blue team need to get out clean here. Don't think they lost a Marine. Oh, they did lose that Devastator. There's a Marine. That might have been a Devastator as well, though. Yeah, I think they lost 2 devs. oLev. The tax got away okay. Assault squad now for Ultramarine. And they do have Artificer Armor and Chainsword and Storm Shield coming in. Anything for the Inquisitor. The Servo Skull is up. More sight radius and Auspex scan, which is really nice. How long does it reveal? I'm not sure how long Auspex scan lasts. And when she hits something in melee, reveals their position for 15 seconds, which is pretty cool. Warrior Brood up for Katla, onto the Gen. Ravener Alpha is down, getting revived. Is it going to level them? No. Always surprised by how much they've nerfed that XP. Force Commander doesn't have even a pixel of XP yet. Apothecary's got a decent chunk. What about that Plague Champion? He's into level 2, the Plague Champion. Others are all level 1. 357 to 483. Triple cap for the red team. They are finishing tier 1 pretty strongly. We've seen a lot of pressure on this side. Thanks to Dragonis. They've done a great job maintaining pressure on the VP. Catachans going into some melee on the assault squad. Catachans have power melee weapons. They are a threat. They don't have a melee charge, so they can be kind of bad at chasing things. They're trying to chase those assault marines, though. There's the defend ability for the Force Commander. Doesn't help you against melee attacks, but fantastic against a shooty guard army. Also gives some passives to the Force Commander, as you can see in the tooltip there. Lord Commissar is not ready to leave yet. Pops lead by example. Throws up the shield, starts smacking stuff around. But is then persuaded to leave. Tier 2's first for Leonus, and now for oLev. Can they get the Sentinel down? It should be okay. Heretics don't have very good sidearms or pistols. Just little dinky auto pistols, I think. Although the Aspiring Champion has a bolt pistol, that's alright. Now some repairs coming in for the Sentinel. A ton of War CSM there. Noise Marines here, and there's some Nurgle worship. Needs to be careful here, Dragonis. Doesn't want to throw away the Sentinel at the end of tier 1 after a strong tier 1. And they do go tier 2. Piluco, I think, is floating. No, they're not quite floating. 249 to 483. A decent VP lead for the red team now. Blue team maintaining pressure using defend. Catachan's getting kind of messed up here. These are Pilucos. I think they're going to be alright. They can fall really quick, especially if they are hit by some area of effect. They tend to bunch their models up more than most, maybe because they try to run into melee, which like focuses their mass on a single point. But they tend to just do it quite a lot. Maybe I just notice it more because it's Catachans. 237 to 483. Got a Razorback on the way for oLev. Dreadnought for Leonus. Ultramarines goes tier 2. Looks like Katla is going to be the last to go. They are floating right now. 125 power to go tier 2. Meanwhile, oLev from the mid has found a way onto this natural power here, covered by double Devastators. Artillery spotters using their smoke to shut down the range. oLev backing out of it. Sets up in a nice position, covering one dev with the other. There is another mortar shell. That one, the damaging and disruptive shell. And there's some defensive smoke by the Catachans too. oLev trying to maintain position, trying to pull out slowly and orderly, but the Tyranids have broken through. Those devs might fall. Here's a Razorback, and it does fall. Grenade launcher, Catachans finish it off. Nicely done by the red team. They had the tools to get through, and they did so. Scouts wipe? Yeah, Scouts wipe. That was a rough fight for oLev. They tried to maintain position, buy their team some time on this side, but they lost their hero. Apothecary's down there, Devastators and upgraded Scouts. Drop pod comes in. oLev gets some more tactical marines on the field. Here's the assault marines of Ultramarine. Angels of Death popped by oLev. Blue team hitting back hard. Angels of Death is a global for oLev's Apothecary, granting 50% damage resist and weapon knockback immunity to his infantry. Those guys are being slowed down by the Krypton Talon of the Ravener Alpha. Gets a good special. Got a bit of a wind up, that special animation, but I think it does decent damage. And reinforced chitin, which is yeah, makes him pretty nicely tough, the Ravener Alpha. Slows down stuff, 200 health and immunity to domino knockback. And weapon, right? Yes. Domino is when something just is knocked back into you and knocks you down. Gonna get a full bash. oLev straight back out here. Apothecary up, Razor back in. Just jumped back inside of it. Ultramarine with the Librarian on the way. They can support the Devs and the Assault Marines, of course, with some movement buffs. Or maybe just throw it on the Force Commander, help him get in there into melee with Defend up. There's a Noxious Cloud from Leonus, from the global bar of the Plague Champion. A controllable cloud of quite foul odor, I suspect. Doing, I believe it's heavy melee damage, isn't it? Can be pretty nasty. Leonus has their Dreadnought just below halfway, which is what I always recommend for your walkers, especially in a 3v3 when there can be so much anti-vehicle. Speaking of anti-vehicle, here's an anti-armor stormtrooper squad. Just threw their melter bomb in. Dreadnought trying to get into melee, but that is a missile launcher Sentinel 2. Here comes oLev to support. Dreadnought might fall right here though, and they didn't even commit it that hard. I mean, that is how rough it can be for walker vehicles in team games. Didn't get to do too much with that Dreadnought. 187 to 445. I feel like you really need a specific way to shut down an anti-vehicle infantry squad, such as your own jump troops or something. As soon as you see stormtroopers, as in that situation, just jump them, get in there. Even if it puts your infantry at risk, at least you can retreat them while you move back your Dreadnought. Manticore on the field for Piluco. Leonus still has a solid little infantry army, but would like to recover, maybe with a tier 3, an early-ish tier 3. We shall see. Power being bashed here, down to 1 gen at least. But a Venom Brood on the field for Katla, and they do have the ranged Synapse, buffing the damage of those double Termagants, and their health. Big VP lead still for the red team. Last Master, are you charging up? Needs to set up is what it needs to do. Manticore strike. Everything stayed in play. Got some Mark of Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines now with Inferno Bolters. Bad news for that Warrior Brood. And the Venom Brood if they catch those fellas. Just devastating damage to heavy infantry. Meanwhile, Force Commander pushing up the northwestern side, corner, whatever you want to call it. But fell over, did the Force Commander. Librarian gets away with a Psychic Hood. Assault Squad are back at base. Devastators getting advanced targeting in. And now we have some Sternguard veterans for Ultramarine. First company tactical marines that can change their ammo to combat all targets, to slot it in and keep on firing. Level 3 heretics, eh? Just asking to be obliterated, fellas. Don't be successful. Anticore does indeed have the Storm Eagle. Inquisitor. I was going to say running into melee, but she stopped and started firing the plasma pistol. Manticore in trouble a little bit, perhaps. There is a Noxious Cloud in there. I don't know if they can follow it up, and Manticore can just drive away. Here we see Dragonis from that same angle with the Stormtroopers. Assault Squad misses the jump. Catachans are right there as well. That is a dicey fight to take. Catachans really should have closed in for melee there, I think. Alongside the Lord Commissar buffs, that would have been nasty. Also has Carapace armor, this guy. Buffing the Commissar himself when he uses the Inspire Courage. Got Tactical Sergeant for oLev. The other squad with a missile launcher for some anti-vehicle. And they are pushing through to the power. Oh, maybe they're going after the Manticore. Triple cap for the blue team here. Razorback just got smoke shelled by the spotters. Apothecary levels 3. His basic heal ability does get better as he levels up. Just exposes himself a bit there. Not sure what he was specifically trying to shoot at. Maybe the spotters. Manticore strike. Got some decent hits on the Razorback. Those guys are repairing the Sentinel. Okay. Venom Brood. That was close. Could have got some rear armor hits. And is that the... Yes, it is the Synapse Aura. I love this purple Synapse we get with that now. So easy to spot. Awesome stuff. Improvised explosive. Put down on the VP. And they grabbed it with those guardsmen. Brave fellas. 187 to 271. Librarian with the Force Staff is going to try and grab it back. Look at the mobility of oLev here. Using the Razorback very well so far. Needs some repairs though. There are scouts right there. They're busy shooting at the Commissar. Uh-oh. Oh, luckily for them, the Sentinel had the wrong missiles loaded in. Did not have crack missiles. There we go. There's the crack for anti-vehicle. These guys are becoming Vanguard veterans, I believe. Yes, they are. Doesn't matter if they take damage during it. They come in as a fresh squad. There we go. First company Assault Marines now with power melee weapons and the ability to get a heavy melee power fist. They do lose their Melter Bomb from Thunder and Lightning, which is a big loss. But they can stand up in a fight a lot better potentially, especially if they level up. They keep the Merciless Strike. You do get the anti-vehicle from the power fist. Dragonis, is that double anti-armor stormtroopers? It is. Yet the Razorback lives. Now a Predator tank for oLev. Ooh, they're going to have two tracked vehicles to try and micro now. There's a decent amount of space in the mid. I assume these are heavy crush. Because the Razorback hasn't gone through them yet. Chaos Predator on the way for Leonus. 162 to 264. Little push on the east side by oLev. Razorback still needs repairs. It's trying to be repaired by... Oh, these are actually Ultramarine Scouts. Rocket run in. Wipes out some Devastators. Ultramarines Devastators, yeah. Meanwhile, the Razorback does indeed fall. Surprised. Experienced player like oLev did not try to tie up those Venom Brood with some Marines or something. Went down. Maybe they thought they could out-repair it, I guess. Guardsman barely getting away. Librarian trying to finish him there. It's quite good in melee with this thing, the Librarian. Over 70 power melee DPS. And he inspires on kill, I believe. Lord Commissar's going to fall to Vanguard Veterans. Vanguard Veterans are pretty damn good at taking out enemy heroes. They've got like 120 DPS. It's like Howling Banshee's DPS that can jump on you. Baneblade on the way for Piluco. Katla's got a Carnifex coming out. Tanks are up. Mark of Nurgle for this thing. And this thing has the extra armor. There's the Nurgle tank, makes it slower, but super tough. Big bucket hit points, health regen, and melee resistance. Changes the main autocannon to shoot stinky Nurgle things like that. Good versus infantry, especially if it stays in place. I believe the side sponson bolters also have a damage over time effect. 137 to 228 on the VPs. Double cap for blue. Some mines dropped in by Dragonis there. I wonder if Dragonis is going for a... Yeah, they must be going for a super heavy vehicle. Who needs Lehman Russes when you can get big old Baneblade variants? Terminator Force Commander now for Ultramarine. Power Fist and Storm Bolter. 85 DPS or so Power Fist. And 40 DPS or so Piercing Storm Bolter, I think. And he can still retreat. Isn't he a lucky boy? Manticore takes out the shrine that Leonus is trying to build. Puts up another one. It's probably not going to last that long if there's a Manticore around. Oh, there's Judgment up. Inquisitor's Inferno Pistol. Not sure what it's on. Oh, it's on the tank, as you can see there. If she can get vision over it, once Judgment becomes available, she can shoot it for like 300 damage. Venom Cannon Carnifex for Katla. Anti-vehicle weapon doing some really good damage to that tank, as you can see. Here comes Piluco, opening up with a grenade launcher barrage. And that defensive Catachin grenade now on the Inquisitor. I feel like Piluco's been using it more often than I typically see. Lots of great defensive smoke grenade usage from those Catachins. There's Angels of Death to help against that Tyranids formation. Carnifex has taken some damage. Looks like the tank wants to tussle with it, which I don't think is super smart. Missile launch attacks are there, but so are the Venom Brood, and I think they were trying to tie them up in melee that time, but here comes the Warrior Brood to mess with them. Meanwhile, front and center, Baneblade is here. Manticore Strike was in there too. Last Master's going to try and set up. Looks like the Tyranids are out on the east side. Maybe oLev can push through, get a cap or something. Or rather, a Power Bash. The VPs are the other side. In fact, Red Team having to get their natural back, because I guess Ultramarine was doing some shenanigans, maybe with the scouts. They dropped a model and stuff. Maybe a little bit slow for these Catachins. Maybe they could have got up here and done some stuff. I think they're trying to be sneaky to catch the scouts as they move up again. Terminator Force Commander now has a heavy flamer. 2,500 hit points this guy. He can't level up anymore once he gets this armor on. But it's heavy infantry armor for whatever reason. 137 to 149. Vanguard veterans now have a Power Fist. Baneblade comes back to the mid. Here's a Lehman Russ out of the side. Dragonis did go for a Lehman Russ in the end, using Executioner, which just tears through infantry, as you can see. Mid stays blue for now. Big champion with no war gear, by the way, level 4. Runs away. Tyranids from the flank. Here comes Katla. Needs to be careful with that Carnifex, though. That Carnifex is quite low. But you know what else is low? This Predator tank. Down goes the Lehman Russ. They got it. Predator does fall. Here's another Predator, though, for oLev. And they're going after it, Katla, using Venom Brood and the Carnifex. Oh, this must be a new Predator for Leonis. I guess it has no XP. Yeah, and no mark. It's a new one. Vehicles dropping left and right. 126 to 137. VPs are very even. I feel like the battle over the naturals is going to be super important. And Ultramarine does have a good tool for that with those scouts. There's level to 2. Force Commander might be a pretty damn good tool for that as well. He can teleport and he's pretty damn tough. And can retreat out when he needs to. Vanguard veterans jumping into a whole bunch of trouble. Warrior Brood is there with their adrenal glands. Termagant's able to finish the cap. Vanguard veterans get out though. Apothecary is level 4 now. Just healed his Marines, I think, was that? Took a bunch of damage doing it. Been caught out in the front of his army a few times, oLev. Hasn't had assault Marines or something else to take the fire at the front of the army. Pretty good rocket run. Pretty good rocket run. I don't think it wiped anything. Couldn't wipe any of Leonis' stuff anyway. Lehman Russ number 2 on the way for Dragonis. There's a orbital bombardment pulled in, I think, by oLev. It's going to get some good hits on the Baneblade, I think. It's going to get some very good hits. Yes, and there's an Imperial Abyss. The Baneblade goes down. Just took 2 nukes and a Marquisine's Predator tank, that's all. But they got it. They did get it. I don't think that Imperial Abyss was needed because it was moving forward away from the orbital and it would have got finished by the Predator tank here, I think. The Chaos Predator, I should say. Oh, are those Catachins going to get away? Lots of fire, they do not. They must have been pretty high level, those fellas. Has that broken the red team's back? Katla has 2 Carnifexes, but the Imperial Guard players looking worse for wear, quite depleted. I mean, they still have a Leman Russ and a Manticore, but we'll see. oLev does have a full infantry army, so a nuke could do a lot of work. 79 to 113. Look at this, Katla pushing, but they're not pushing the side that has the VP. They're going to power bash at least, or at least try to. What is this? Thornback? It's a Thornback Carnifex. Big old melee monster that can spawn rippers and charge. 1750 hit points at level 1. How much does a Carnifex, a Thornback, get when it's level 4? I feel like you very rarely see them at level 4. 79 to 97 on the VPs. Katla flanks inward. Got some Terminators on the field for Ultramarine here. Sackler missile launchering. Thornback is in there, taking las cannon shots. It's a decent little flank from Katla. They get onto the central VP as well. oLev is pushed really far forward here. Inquisitor, level 5, doing what she can with that Inferno pistol. Now needs to flee. oLev backs off, stays in play. These tacks are down to a single missile launching model. Don't need to be very careful. It does get out of there. Carnifex is taken out though. Was it the devs? Was it that las cannon back there? Didn't see. Red team take the mid though. Wasn't a clean push by Katla, but they got the job done. oLev says VP. Oh, look at this. Dragonis with an opportunity to push, but Ultramarine playing defensively has Stern Guard and Vanguard veterans there. They champion now, getting a Plague Fist and Armor of Pestilence in. These are great capping loadout he can get with Pestilence Strike, reducing ranged damage by 90% when he pops it, allowing some good caps. Looks like he's just going straight for the VP here. Also gets Mucus Discharge for the heal. They're going to get at least a decap here. Needs to pop the Pestilence Strike though. There it is, pops it. Waited for the melee Ravener to come in, I suppose. Although it's a Corrosive Devourer Ravener. They just know their range damage is going to be neutered, so they went into melee, I suppose. $45 to 78. More Marines dropped in by oLev. They have a Librarian of their own now. I guess Ultramarines went down at some point. 45 to 78. Wait, oh, it was a reinforcing drop pod, I think. That's good, Manticore. Stern Guard barely getting out of it. Librarian also flee. Oh, there's Ultramarine's Librarian. He's gone to the front of the army roster there. So close. Another Baneblade up for Piluco. Last Master gets a good shot. Artillery spotter's not happy with that. That was a heavy mortar shell there, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. Increasing the damage to 125. It's alright, innit? Stern Guard. Need to use their Vengeance rounds for the tank, but looks like they are focused on the Guardsmen. The Guardsmen are the ones that can cap, after all. Grenade. Oh, the grenade helps kill one of the Stern Guard, I believe. They got the guard down though. That Guardsman squad fell under Hellfire rounds. Damage over time, acidic rounds these guys have loaded in. And there's full auto onto the face of the Lord Commissar. Has the Xenos Power Claw. 30 to 78. Plague Marines coming up here for Leonus. A good late game pick, I think, in most 3v3 situations. They're tough. They got some anti-vehicle. Good for capping. Vanguard veterans jumping in to help mop this up. Lord Commissar gets another kill. Just wipe out some devs there. I saw 12 red, I think. Which is how much you get for killing the dev. 30 to 78. Piluco's Inquisitor goes for the central cap. And the mandate is available. I'm not sure why they haven't used it yet. Maybe it's on cooldown. There it is. Gives her invulnerability and +3 speed, which is pretty nuts. It's only 7 seconds. Impenetrable is what it's called. I always forget that. 30 to 78. Still that 1-to-1 cap. Katla running interference with her Thornback Carnifex. A new one. Does have some XP though, and his Venom Cannon fella stood around at level 2. That was Terminators there. Did they just lose them? Yep, they just lost some Terminators. I wasn't even watching. Bunker up. Here comes a bunker. Gonna be a repair bunker, I guess. Oh, that's Piluco's bunker. There's Dragonis's. Red team have the mid, 29 to 78. The guard players really recovered well. Katla kept coming in and keeping pressure on the mid. And they've got a Baneblade each now. And there's a Lehman Russ in play for Dragonis. What is shooting? Oh, the Thornback just ran into base. I wonder if Katla lost control of it. That is a thing that can happen with melee walkers. I mean, it ran into some interference. Double cap. oLev's asking for the concede, and there it is. Valiantly fought. Red team with a strong start. Blue team really came back into it with the durability of Marines. But red team finished it off. Good ability usage, I feel like, from the red team. Lots of good Catachan stuff. And the spotters kept the blue team guessing. Kept them disrupted, kept them off their feet. They couldn't really stabilize the mid. We had a Terminator Force Commander, who's too fancy for levels. Level 4 Apothecary for oLev with that customized Stormbolter. Leonus got all the war gear late game, level 5. Level 6 Lord Commissar. Level 6 Inquisitor. I wonder if a judgment went off and I just didn't see it. And Katla's level 3 Ravener Alpha. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.